Hello, everybody, and welcome to 25 Drive Live. My name is Alex Montañez, and I am your host. We have a very special guest. Well, I say that each week that we have a very special guest. However, this is Gar Ashby, and I've known him for a number of years now. He's been playing at Roe Valley's Ristorante for quite a while, and so we've become friends over the years. At least, would you agree with that, Gar?
Sure, whatever you say.
But we've become friends over the years, and I've been following his career, some of the things that he's been doing in the community as well, and that's one of the main reasons why he's here. He's a great musician. He's also a fantastic guitar teacher, and he brings a lot of stuff to our community as far as music goes, working with other musicians, all that kind of stuff. So I'd like to introduce you to Gar Ashby. Welcome, Gar.
Thank you. Hello.
Now, Gar did tell me he's a little bit shy of video, but I told him just relax, have fun, because that's what we're going to do. Anyway, Gar, one of the first things that I was thinking about as we were talking about interviewing you is, and by the way, this interview is long past due. I should have had you on a long time ago. But actually, I think it's good because there's some exciting things happening for you right now, and so it's probably a good time to do it. So tell our listeners where you're from, all of our viewers where you're from, and kind of take us back to when you were introduced to music and how that all came about.
Well, I grew up in Roy, Utah. I've always been a musician as long as I can remember. My mom tells me when I was a little kid I used to entertain the ladies at the grocery store in the checkout line and sing to them, but I don't remember that. I started piano when I was about 5, I think, and I started guitar when I was 8. Started writing music right away and started a band. My first band, the Rough Outs, we was playing.
And how old were you?
I was 9. We did the school assemblies and the church talent show and that sort of thing. So I wasn't making any money.
You weren't a professional at that point.
No. So, yeah, I started guitar when I was 8, and I'm 58 now, so I've been playing 50 years.
Wow, 50 years. Holy smokes. Do you still love it?
Yeah. It's like air. I need to breathe.
So, you've been playing for 50 years. What would you say, I mean, you love it so much, but I know that you told me the number of shows that you had done at a certain point. Where are we at as far as live performances for you? I mean, 50 years is a long span.
Yeah, and the gigs were hard to get at first. I mean, obviously, 9 and 10 years old, you're picking up 2 gigs in a year. I'm in the 3,800s. I don't know exactly. It's written in my calendar, but 3,800 and some odd shows now.
3,800. I think the last time that you commented on that, it was 3,000.
Could have been.
Because, wow, that's a lot of shows. How many times would you say that you play a week?
I'm slowing down this year. I want to slow down to 2 or 3 times a week. But for the past several years, I've done over 200 shows a year, which is 4 or 5 times a week on an average.
Now, some of the places that you play at are quite interesting to me. You play at a retirement home. Which one is that, or are there different ones?
I've played several, but the last few years I've been playing once a month at the Roy Senior Center. That's a place that my mom can go hear me gig.
Oh, your mom is there?
Yeah, well, it's not a live-in facility. It's where it's just a community center for the seniors. They go for lunch, and I entertain them while they're at lunch. And my mom lives near to there, so and she doesn't like to go out at night, so doesn't want to see me in the bar, So she goes there and listens to me every month, and I have a little visit with her. But yeah, every third Wednesday of every month.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna ask the obvious question: is that a paying gig, or you just do it because you're just volunteering?
the county pays me a little bit, and the old folks like to tip me a few bucks, which I think is awesome.
That's all right. And from what I know personally, this guy does pretty good on tips. Anyway, so I want to ask also because we've worked together on a few projects at Rovalli's, and but one of the things that is really interesting about you is that you're kind of like me. You love young talent as well, and how does that work as far as you working with younger people?
How does it work? I just when I was younger, it was hard for me to get the work without having the experience, and it was hard to get the experience without having the work. And so I bring them along with me and give them the experience, and then they can move on and do the work. And I do that because that's kind of my legacy. When I'm dead and gone, there will still be people playing because I taught them. So.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful legacy, and that's one of the cool things that Gar brings to Ogden is teaching young people the love of music. How would you say? What's your opinion on? It seems like there's a burgeoning, or there's a growing interest in, both from the musicians and from the community side of music. It seems like there's so many musicians here.
Ogden's a good place for arts of any kind. Always has been, but I think with music there's a very strong live music presence here, and I think it has to do with how easy it is to do recorded music now, and make music on your computer, so since that's so easy, everybody's doing it, and then there's a counterculture. There's always a counterculture to everything, and that's what the live music is. Go back to playing it for real, which I love.
And that's really good. I love live music as well. So and you have a studio, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the studio? Because I know you told me in the past that you built this studio yourself.
Yeah. In fact, it started in my garage and stayed there for a few years while I built an outbuilding in my backyard. And now the old studio in the garage is my bedroom. I sleep in the garage. The studio is mostly for my use and my students, although I've done several projects with other people through the years. I like to write my music out there and record it. I've got a Pro Tools set up and all the mics and all that stuff. So yeah, I record my music. I pitch it to different industry people and whatever.
Well, and you bring up something else that's really interesting. Didn't you just do was it a soundtrack or something for a movie studio or something like that?
I did some work for a documentary that will be coming out in probably a couple months, I think.
So how did they find a local musician from Ogden?
A really good friend of mine that I've done studio work with for years and years. In fact, he taught me how to. I went to school to learn the analog part of it, reel-to-reel recording and all of that. But this guy, Kevin Matthew, he taught me how to do all the digital stuff. And then he moved to LA and he's working there. And when he needs stuff, we drop box tracks back and forth and work that way.
So you've collaborated with a number of people over the years, various projects. But you told me once too that you did you had one of the most interesting gigs that I think I've ever heard of, and you went to the Bahamas or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, the British Virgin Islands. I'm sure you're talking about Willie T's. That's a bar that was built on a crashed boat. They just left the boat there, and built a bar on it instead of pulling it out. And yeah, I got to play there. That was a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool. Was that the okay? So let's ask you this question: what was the most unique gig that you've ever had, or strangest, as it were?
Oh wow, that's tough. That one was unique. That same trip, we had a dance breakout on the beach, and I played for all the locals, and they danced on the beach. At sunset, it was beautiful. That's a crazy gig.
Wow, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so you've been playing for 50 years, and now you've kind of come in, and I don't know if this is your first one, but you're finally recording your own album.
Yeah, I mean, I've done lots of recording in the past, but this one I wanted to do a collection of my favorite classic rock songs, because that's what people are coming to hear right now. And I think I will release it on vinyl, because
oh, that's cool. That's a
rock.
Great idea.
And then I'm gonna add,
wow,
I think probably 2 original songs on it, and I'll release those as singles digitally.
So how long in the making has this album been for you?
Going on 2 years now. I keep getting interrupted with other people's albums, my students' albums and things like that.
So, and that's one of the really unique things about Gar, which I really appreciate. You know, he's got these, students, and they're pretty green, but what is your purpose as far as these students being so green, to record to have them record an album? What's your thought process behind that?
You need to learn how to record an album and put all of that together, just like you learn everything else. And so really you've got to do your first album and find all those bugs and all the things that give you trouble and figure that out, and then you grow from there. So
if I'm understanding you correctly, you're teaching a new student how to play guitar. Mm-hmm. You're teaching them, basically how to sing as well, and then all of the technical aspects of, knowing what is involved in recording. Mm-hmm. And so they're getting this right at the get-go. What is the value that you see, or you hope to see, in these students and these young people that are doing this and are going through this whole process right at the beginning?
Well, first of all, each student has their own goals and their own reasons for playing, and so not all of them want to do that. But the ones who want to have a career at it, they're going to get the well-rounded, they're going to get everything. I get people coming to me that just want to be able to sing around the campfire, and I'll teach them that. Whatever they want to learn, that's what I teach. So some of them don't sing, and not that I'm a singing teacher, I just have a lot of experience singing, so I can kind of give pointers. But I'll just, whatever it is that they're working on, that's what I help them with.
Okay, so you've gone, coming full circle. Mm-hmm. You've been playing for 50 years. You've helped a lot of people. You've collaborated with other artists. You've played at probably an incredible amount of venues. What would you say, encompassing all this, is your favorite part of this whole journey? What's the favorite part for you, and what's most important to you?
Tricky question.
That's my job.
Yeah. There's different things I like about each aspect of it, but I think for me the most fulfilling thing is after I've done my job, whatever the gig or the recording, whatever it is, when it's done and I get to sit down in the backyard and have a beer and light the fire pit and think, wow, this is my life. Yeah.
And are there certain songs that for people, and I can probably safely say for most people, if not all people, there are certain songs that take you down, or that mean, that have sentimental value, that is like really powerful. So for something that's happened in your life, do you have a song that comes to mind that is like really meaningful and powerful to you? And I know that's another tough question.
That is, because there are so many songs that take me back, because I've always been around music. So, I mean, well, one thing that's interesting is whenever I hear a song that I've worked with on the recording of it, I hear the song, but in my head, it brings back the memories of the recording and the people that were there and the whole session, and that's pretty cool. I like that. And then just songs that I mean, once in a while I'll flip on the radio and they'll play like 7 or 8 songs in a row that are on my playlist, and I think that's cool, or that I played with a band in my past or whatever, and it always brings that back, playing with a group or whatever.
So what is the hardest thing and what is the easiest thing of playing with a band?
The hardest thing is that the other musicians are people, and that's hard.
That's hard.
It's like being married to all the people in the band, because you have to get along with them, and a lot of times you end up in a motel room with all these people, and they get on your nerves. They get on my nerves. I'm an introvert, and I need my space. So that's the hard part. The funnest part is that when you're on stage and you've got several musicians in the same pocket just making the music, there's no other feeling like it. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a magic thing.
So what do you mean by in the same pocket?
Well, everybody's feeling the same thing. So it molds together into just, it's like you all have just one mind, and it's just all in sync.
So that's always been interesting to me about being in sync, and you have various artists on the stage, and when you get in sync, is it a rhythmic thing? I mean, especially when you're hitting it and everybody's hitting that stride. How does the timing and the sync, how does it work between musicians?
Part of it is knowing what your job is, and the drummer's going to lay down the pocket that you're supposed to be in, timing wise. But then there's a musical language, so you can communicate with the band with the way that you play. You lead them into a different section or out of a solo or whatever, just by the way you play it, and put emotion into it, and then everybody knows what you're doing and they just flow with it. If you want to bring it down, you can do that without saying anything. If they're people you've played with, they know where you're going.
So is there ever any competition when you guys are up there?
Not in my bands, because I'm the boss. But yeah, there's, you get egos with musicians, because, you work hard to get where you're at, and if somebody's up there kicking your butt on the stage, then you got to step it up. So, and that happens. I try not to. I try to, be supportive all the time, but sometimes, people want to butt heads, and then you've got to. What else can you do?
Speaking of that, when you're performing and you say you're in the, you're in the groove or you're in the pocket, how important is it, and maybe you can answer this generically for all musicians, but how important is the audience feedback? Because you play in different venues, for example, this doesn't happen so much when you play at Rovelli's anymore, because people know to clap, but like when you get a lot of newbies, when they come into Rovelli's, a lot of people that have been there for the first time, they don't know what to do. And so I'll usually like start off clapping or hooting and hollering, and just to let them know that it's okay. But from your perspective, when you're on the stage and you're looking out at the people, whether it's a small venue or a large venue, how important is that feedback, and what does that feedback do depending if it's really enthusiastic or not so?
Yeah, there's a big thing that happens with the energy of it, and you put the energy out there, and if they send it back, then it just amplifies back and forth and it gets bigger and bigger. When the opposite happens, it kind of depends. I've done enough shows that I don't let that bother me, because I don't take it personal. If they don't like my music, that's fine. It's sad that they ended up there listening to me. Sorry, but that's my job and I'm gonna do it. But I just kind of go to my introverted side, and I just make the music for myself, and that's so then it doesn't affect me in a negative way. But if you can't do that, it can really intimidate you and make you insecure if people don't like you.
Well, it's almost like, if you're a stand-up comedian and you hear crickets after you tell your best joke.
That would be hard, really hard.
Yeah, and that's tough. But when you're not getting the feedback that that you like or something, you start to play for yourself. And that. This is your job to perform, whether it's 2 or 3 people out there, or whether there's 2 or 3,000 people. And when you're done with the show, okay, again, whether it's a large venue or a small venue, do you evaluate everything, or have you done it so much it's just you pack up and leave and you head out?
I usually evaluate, not necessarily after every show, but when I sit down to practice, I will think back to the last few shows and what did I have trouble with, and what do I need to change.
So in other words, you're constantly improving.
I hope so. I think that at this age, my fingers are not going to get any faster or any more talented, so I try to play smarter, and I work more on the other parts of the show. I've found that it's a huge thing to connect with the audience, and so that's something I'm working on now. How do I connect with them, make them feel like they're part of the experience?
So when you and I started doing shows together, and this is the way that I define things. I define if Gar's coming and he's performing at Rovelli's, that's how I define it. That he's doing a performance. But then when I say a word show, we'll put something together and collaborate together. We include, some dialogue, drama, different kinds of things into it to make it a show. So with that definition in mind, Gar, did you do shows before us? Was this something that you and I kind of grew in together? What's your history on that?
I've done theater for a while. In fact, this is the first year that I don't think I'm going to do any theater, because I need to slow down. I'm getting old. So what we do is very similar to theater. So I have experience with that, but I've never really been on that side of like putting the shows together. I always show up and they give me a book and say play this music, and I do. So I've watched it all happen in front of me, but I've never had any input. So.
And so, how do you feel about doing the shows?
I like it, but it's not what I would want to do all the time. It's a lot of work, and I'm like with theater kind of stuff. There's acting and there's scripted stuff, and I'm not real fond of that for myself. I'm more of, I just like to be authentic, and if I'm having a crappy night, then I want to be a crappy guy, and if I'm having a goofy night, I want to be a goofy guy. So.
Okay, that makes sense. And so I just found out, Gar, Gar and I have worked with new musicians and singers, talent, if you will, that either I introduced to him or he introduced to me. And we have somebody that is doing something really cool here this coming Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about what this gig is, where it's at, and how it all came about?
Well, Emma Caroline Baker, she and I and you did a show, not last New Year's, but the one before, and we did a lot of jazz standards, and that seems to be a good niche for her, and she went to Seattle and is pursuing it there, and she's doing really well, and she's got a thing at the Jazz Alley,
Mm-hmm.
and that's this coming Monday, and she's I guess it's a competition. I don't know a whole lot about it. It's a competition. If she wins, and she's one of 7 people at this point, she gets to go to Japan and do a bunch of shows and different things like that.
So how did you get involved with going down to Seattle? Because you're flying down there, right?
Yeah. Well, I got involved because she called me and said, will you do it? And I said, okay.
But what was your interest in it besides just, okay, I'll do it?
I've never been to Seattle, and I get to, most of the places I've traveled to, I go do a show there, and then the travel's paid for. So that's kind of how I do vacation. So I get to go see Seattle and go drink some of their famous coffee. I told her make sure that I have PBR at the house.
Oh, you got your list, do you?
I do, yes.
That's pretty cool. So what if she wins the contest and goes to Japan and she says, "Hey, Gar"?
Well, I hope the timing works out and the flight's paid for. I don't know. I've never thought about going there, but I'm not going to say I wouldn't. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be really cool. Well, this is really cool because, and the reason why I asked Gar at the tail end of the interview is because I'm going to be interviewing Emma and Caroline Baker. I need to say her whole name. I expect everybody to say my name. So, but I'm going to be interviewing her a little bit later today about this whole thing. But I do want to say one cool thing about Jazz Alley, just for you. It is one of the coolest venues you'll ever go to. It's a really neat place, and I got a really fun story that I'll probably share with Emma. But you're going to love this place. The acoustics, from a technical standpoint, you're going to love it. It's a cool place.
Good.
Anyway, so now I wanted to finish up this interview with Gar singing you one of his original songs. Can you tell us a little bit about the song that you're going to be singing for us, Gar?
About this song, okay. This is weird.
That's okay. We want weird. We love weird.
This is really weird. Well, I have a wonderful life coach, April, who's taught me how to personify things in my life so that I can deal with them better. And I've always, I've had bad dreams my whole life. And it's after so many sleepless nights, I got frustrated and I personified my dreams. I rolled them all into one and made them into a person and wrote them a song.
Wow, that's cool.
And that's what the song's about.
And what's the name of the song?
Not Gonna Take the Fall.
All right. Okay, guys, this is Gar Ashby, one of his original songs. So let's enjoy. You can scoot over a little bit, Gar. There we go.
This love-hate thing has got to go. You've gone too far this time. I paid my dues. I paid yours too. This time you crossed the line. I'm not gonna take the fall for you. I'm not gonna cover your trail. I wanna do the things you do. Your love hurts like hell. Not gonna take the fall for you. Not again. I won't follow you into the dark. You can walk alone. I don't need your demons after me. You are on your own. Not gonna take the fall for you. Not gonna cover your trail. I wanna do the things you do. Your love hurts like hell. I'm not gonna take the fall for you. Not again. You climb in my head when it gets late. My love runs deep as my hate. But dreams aren't real and neither is fate. I won't take the fall for you. Won't take the fall. I'm not gonna take the fall for you. Not gonna cover your trail. I wanna do the things you do. Your love hurts like hell. I'm not gonna take the fall for you. I'm not gonna take the fall for you.
Woo! All right, this is Gar Ashby, you guys. Share this video, okay? Again, this is Alex Montañez coming to you from 25 Drive Live. We'll see you again next week. And stay tuned for my interview with Emma Carolyn Baker. Thank you. All right, goodbye.